Good morning, you guys. Welcome back to Art Club. I'm excited for yet another fun project with our yarn. So today, as you can maybe see, we're going to be making these very fun mobiles. I've got to start on this one, but we are going to continue with it, and I'm going to show you guys step by step how to create our own mobiles. So the first things that we're going to need is obviously a stick. Right, we're gonna need that to hang everything from, and then our yarn we're gonna need too, so all different colors of yarn, and some scissors, and it's also very helpful to have just a fork to make the pom-pom. Now there's other ways to make pom-poms too. Some of you might have pom-pom makers. You can do it with just your fingers, you can do it with cardboard, but the way that I've found that seems to work the best for almost all students is simply using a fork. Okay, so our first step is we want to choose a color that's going to be what I'm calling our base color for our mobile. So that's going to be the color of yarn that you're going to use to hang the mobile with. Okay, so you can see I just tied some knots on either side at the length that I wanted it to be to hang my stick from. And then I use that same color for the string that's coming down and holding my pom-poms up. All right, so you can look through what colors of yarn you have and choose whatever color you wanted. I kind of chose this camel sandy color. I thought it was a nice neutral base for that. Okay, so our next step then, let me hang my mobile up here. Our next step is going to be, once we've got it, the little triangle piece to hang it up at the top there, once we've got that tied on, is we need to get our yarn that's going to be coming down from our stick and holding on to our pom-poms. So I'm going to make this about 1.5 arms length for me, but I'm a little bit bigger than you guys, so you might want to do a full 2 arms length for that yarn, depending on how long you want the strings to be coming off of your mobile. But I'm going to choose about like 1.5 arms length and give that a little cut. Okay. So I would start by tying the first one down the center of my mobile because we want to try to keep this balanced, right? But I've already got a center one. So now that I've got my center one, I'm going to move on to the next side. And you guys all know how much I love my triple knots here. Let's see if I can get this to stay a little nicer. There we go. Hopefully that stays nicer so we can see it easier on camera. So here we go. We've got 1 knot. Make the tail a little longer so it's easier for me to tie. If you have a hard time tying knots, feel free to grab that adult at your home, have them help you out. It can get a little tricky sometimes. There's 2 knots, and here is my 3rd knot. So I've got my triple knot, got a little bit extra string hanging there for a tail. So I'm going to go ahead and just give that a trim. We don't need that extra little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to bring it down to my desktop for a different view. I think it'll be a little easier for us to see that way. And you guys, if you need to at all pause and rewind, feel free to do that as well, like always. All right, transitioning so you can see what we got going on here. So you can see this is my string that I already have a good start on, but now I want to get some pom-poms on this one. I'm choosing some bright, fun colors for this one. I want it to be really just beautiful and almost spring-like. So my next color I'm going to choose is this soft baby blue. I'm going to find the end of it. Sometimes that can be a little tricky. There it is. All right, so that's ready to go. Here's where our fork comes into play. We're going to take this string and put it down the center of our fork. And for right now, we're just kind of leaving it there. Eventually, this is going to help us tie our pom-pom together, but for right now, we're just kind of getting it set up so that it's ready to go. So my string is down the center of my fork. I'm going to hold that in place, and then I'm going to take my pom-pom color, and I am going to start to wrap this around my fork, around and around and around we go. And the more we wrap it around our fork, the thicker it gets, the more fluffy our pom-pom is going to be. So I'm going to keep on wrapping it like spaghetti here. Keep on going. So we want it nice and thick, not so thick that we're not going to be able to tie a knot around it, but thick enough that we have a nice fluffy pom-pom in the end. Here we go. Getting close, I think. There's no exact, like, oh, this many times. Like, you just kind of keep going until it looks good. I feel like this, let me hold it so you can see a little bit better. That's looking pretty good. It's nice and thick, but it's not so thick that I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to tie around it. Okay, for right now, we're just going to leave this connected so that it doesn't unravel on us. In the meantime, do you remember how we put that original color down through? We're going to bring that up and around and go through the center again. So let me show you that again. So right now it's down here, and we're going to bring it up and over and around to the other side. So this is like the back side of the pom-pom now. Okay, so now we should have both sides of the string, or both ends of the string on the same side of the fork. And here's where we're going to, as tight as we can, knot this up. So I'm going to go tie that around, and I'm going to tie it as tight as I can. And if you have an adult that can help you with this step, it's really helpful when you're tying it tight like this if somebody can kind of hold that down, help hold that knot in place. Now, all I have here right now are my cat and my dog and the chickens outside. I don't think any of them are gonna help me though, so I'm gonna just do the best I can to tie this as tight as I can without any assistance. And as long as I'm trying to keep it as tight as I possibly can, it will be fine. So there we go. Getting it as tight as possible. And one more for that triple knot. We all know how much I love triple knots to keep it nice and secure. Okay, so we don't want to cut this original color, this kind of sandy camel one or whatever you've chosen, because that's going to still hold some more pom-poms, right? But I do want to disconnect this yarn. We don't need that anymore. So we're going to very carefully make sure I'm only trimming this color and give that a snip. And I'll put that one back away. There we go. So now I've got my yarn on a fork. I am going to carefully release that from the fork, and you're going to see that it has like a bunch of loops, right? That's what it looks like with a bunch of loops. I want to cut all of these loops. Once again, be very careful though, because we don't want to cut the one that's tied it all together. So I'm going to put my scissors kind of into, get it so the screen's not too bright, into the loops, and just keep on going around and snipping it. And sometimes you might miss a couple, so you can kind of go back in and release those loops so they turn into fluffy pom-poms. There we go. A few more. And you'll notice, you can see even with mine, that it's not really exactly even at this point. It doesn't look completely spherical. So I'm going to give her a little trim here, just a little haircut. Oh, and I missed some loops there. So we'll cut those too before we do the haircut. And then I just kind of go in and make it look as nice as I can. There we go. Nice little trim, a little off the top, right? Make it look clean and make it look nice. All right, get that all out of the way. And I'm going to switch back to my other view here, unravel my mobile a bit. I think it got a little bit wrapped up with the top one. There we go. So here is how my mobile is looking so far. And as I go, I'm just going to keep on adding more and more and more until I feel like it looks like it's done. So there is no like, oh, you need to have 7 or you need to have 12. You just keep on going. It's going to depend on the size of the stick that you've chosen. It's going to depend on how long you want each of those strings to go and how many colors you want to have on it. So just keep on going until you feel like your mobile looks done. You can cut off any extras down at the bottom once it looks like it's complete to you. Hang it up and enjoy. Make sure as well, once you're finished, share this to the Hall of Frame so that we can share with our RVA friends, families, and staff. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining in.